now in a post-COVID era, now that COVID has pretty much simmered, we've been bombarded with the notions of coronavirus or COVID-19 for nearly 3 years with no ending in sight. It looks like the drug industry or the pharmaceutical industry is creating brand new patients, creating brand new illnesses, and creating long streams of revenue through not only complications of coronavirus, but the illnesses that are amplified or that have been amplified due to coronavirus. But I don't want to talk about coronavirus because coronavirus and all other viruses have been around just as long as the human being, or longer actually, just like bacterium have been around longer than we have as human beings. So I want to discuss the big three of illnesses that have plagued America for the last 4 to 5 decades. And I'm speaking of the big three being cancer, heart disease, and diabetes. Type 1 or type 2. Type 2 is the most common, so I'll go more into that as well. But number 1 and number 2 seem to fluctuate each year depending on the year, I guess. Heart disease and cancer. So why is cancer and heart disease still at the top of the list of illnesses, or of the most common illnesses? It's always cancer or heart disease first, and then cancer or heart disease second, and then a close third, it's diabetes or type 2 diabetes mellitus, and which is an overload of sugar, processed sugar, that insulin can't filter out of the bloodstream fast enough because of an overabundance of sugar being bombarded into the bloodstream. So when you have that on top of the food choices that many of us have, and the fat content that accumulates inside the body, which coat all of our cells, which means that insulin can't break through the cell wall to try to filter out or try to clean out the sugar that's in the cell already, or the overabundance of sugar that's in the cell, the overabundance of preservatives, that's in most of our food supply. All your preservatives that you cannot pronounce. These are the contributing factors, or these are the contributing factors that prolong the diabetic condition. But again, like I always say, once you discover the root cause, once you discover the cause, you've discovered the cure simultaneously, because everything in this universe, in this dimension of life, is about cause and effect. Cause and effect. Now you can be at cause over your situation, or you can be at effect to your situation. The choice is yours. And if you're diabetic, this means that your bloodstream is overloaded. Your cells are coated. Or in other cases of diabetes, if we want to go into the metaphysical part of diabetes, lack of love, lack of affection, and quite probably or possibly lack of self-love. I mean, when you're feeling sour about yourself, or if you're feeling bad about yourself, or if you're feeling emotionally, isolated, or not feeling emotionally loved enough, this can create an effect in your body as well. Your thoughts, which is so overlooked in allopathic medical practices. The thoughts of the human being, which absolutely can create illness. Your thoughts, negative thoughts, or perpetual negative thoughts, or habitual negative thoughts, can create illness, because negative thoughts create a chemistry from your brain to your bloodstream. So again, if diabetes, for anyone that wants to heal themselves of diabetes, that can be done once you put your body in an environment so it can heal itself. Meaning less sugar, processed sugar, or processed white sugar, white salt, white flour. Those are the big three: white sugar, white salt, white flour, which are all processed, which is why they have the appearance that they do. They've been stripped of all their nutrients, or the nutritional elements that make the wheat berry nutritious. They've all been stripped. That's how you get flour. All of the nutrients that are in the sugar cane, or the sugar cane juice, or the juice that's inside the sugar cane, all of those nutrients have been stripped. Salt. Anybody have seen salt rocks, or pink salt rocks, or any salt rock, land rock, or rocks from the sea? Salt, or your standard table salt, is processed. It's processed, and it's like glass cutting your arteries. I mean, that's what table salt truly is. It's like glass slicing your arteries little by little by little by little. And what happens after that? It ups your cholesterol, because your liver now has to produce extra cholesterol to cover all the incisions that have been made by way of table salt. This is how arterial sclerosis develops, because of an overload of salt. This is how heart disease develops, which I'm going to get to in just a second, because everything is connected. Everything is connected. So if you want to get rid of type 2 diabetes, most of the time diabetes is about food intake and about the way we feel about food. So when we eat fruits and vegetables, live fruits and vegetables, not frozen fruits, not frozen vegetables. We want fresh fruits and vegetables, vegetables that's still alive, has its natural state of vibration. And preferably you want to eat raw fruits and vegetables, or lightly steamed if you must, but preferably raw, because your body responds better to raw materials. I mean, this is how your body heals anyway, through the abundance of raw material. So if you want to heal diabetes, eat raw material, raw fruits, raw vegetables, nuts and seeds. And you may want to do some sort of cleanse as well, to clean out your whole body, all your vital organs that have been possibly clogged to high heaven because of all the food that we've accumulated over a lifetime. So diabetes mellitus can absolutely be reversed or healed. I'm not going to use the word cure because here in America in allopathic medicine, they don't believe in the word cure, which is why they always tell you that there is no cure for anything. That's been the MO of standard allopathic medicine for 50 plus years. 50 plus years, actually probably longer than that, since the inception of the American Medical Association. And the entire John David Rockefeller way of health, which is where all this comes from. If you really want to go into the history of allopathic medicine as we know it today, and I might go into that on another video, but just know that diabetes, type 2 diabetes and type 1 diabetes can absolutely be reversed. All of your organs have been put and set in place for a purpose, for a divine purpose. And that includes your pancreas. If your pancreas isn't being stimulated, you need to take something to stimulate it. And type 1 and type 2 diabetes can be a thing of your past. No one has to have diabetes people have diabetes for 10, 15, 20 years. Some people have diabetes since childhood. And they're in their 30s and 40s and they still have it. Why? Diabetes is a symptom. It's a symptom according to one's lifestyle. Diabetes, type 2 diabetes mellitus, which means that the nucleus of your cells, the melanin part of your cell, is being compromised. Mellitus, it's an inflammation. That's what itis means, inflammation of the melanin center or the nucleus. It's been inflamed by all the processed sugar. And sugar is the number one addictive chemical in the world. Sugar. Not cocaine, not heroin. No, sugar. Sugar is the most addicting drug on the planet. Sugar. And there are many physicians that will concur. I interviewed Dr. Caldwell B. Esselstyn from a wonderful documentary called Forks Over Knives. If you haven't seen it, I recommend that you check out that documentary. I think it came out in 2010. I think it was released in 2010, 2009, 2010. But it's a wonderful documentary about how diabetes can and has been reversed. It's been documented. Not just in this documentary, but several documentaries. Diabetes, type 2 diabetes, has been reversed for several people where they don't have it anymore. They can go to their physicians or their doctor and get blood analysis, and it can be proven that diabetes or the condition of diabetes is no more. Is no more. So yes, type 2 diabetes can be healed. Type 2 diabetes mellitus. So next we're going to go to heart disease. Heart disease, or back in the 60s and 70s, it was called hypertension. Hypertension. Now it's just called heart disease because that's what it is. Overloading the heart with an overload of stress and an overload of preservatives, the same as type 2 diabetes. And then the heart has to pump more blood or has to pump harder so more blood can flow as easily as possible to get through all the junk that's plaguing the bloodstream. I mean, clean blood has to try to make its way through the sludge that is the bloodstream of a great majority of individuals here in America and abroad for that matter, because in many other countries, countries that have metropolitan living, they are discovering that diabetes is increasing, heart disease is increasing, and cancer is increasing in other developed countries. It's not just here in America. It's migrated to other countries from America. I mean, we're like the illness capital of the world. You name the illness, or you name the disease, we have it. Just name anything, we got it here. And heart disease is no different because of all the stuff that we accumulate over a lifetime that slows down the functioning, or the optimal functioning, of the heart. Not only from the food that we eat and all the preservatives that we take in, but also the negative thoughts or the negative traumas that we've experienced over a lifetime. All those emotions get embedded in the heart, because the heart has a neurological system as well. The heart has neurons. The heart has, just like the brain, actually the heart is more powerful than the brain. The human heart, where all the emotions lie. Where all of the emotions lie. All of our negative traumas. The heart. And then we overload it more with eating heavy foods, stressful workloads, maybe a stressful home life. All of these factors contribute. And if they're not controlled or acknowledged and then controlled, then they will take over, and they will have the better of you and take control of you versus you taking control of it. Heart disease. Everybody can have a healthy heart. I mean, the heart pumps automatically. You don't have to remind your heart to pump. You don't have to remind your heart to pump blood. You don't have to remind your heart to do anything. Anything. Your heart is a self-regulating mechanism that's ran by your subconscious mind. It runs automatically. Your lungs breathe in and out automatically. All of your vital organs function automatically without you having to demand for it to, or instruct it to do so. All of your organs function according to universal divine order. And when you do activities or display certain behaviors to violate the divine order of the human heart function, heart disease, or arrhythmias, or irregular heart rhythms, again based on lifestyle, heart disease. And then we have the most well-known of all, we have cancer. Cancer. And it doesn't matter what kind of cancer it is, whether it's breast cancer, stomach cancer, testicular cancer, ovarian cancer, brain cancer, throat cancer, doesn't matter. Cancer or cancer cells are going to multiply where there is the least amount of high vibrational energy. Wherever there's a lack of energy, that's where cancer will store itself. Wherever there's a lack of energy. Because cancer cannot survive in an alkaline-rich environment. This has been proven time and time again. I mean, this goes back to the 1930s. Or actually, no, the 1920s, 1930s. This goes back. I mean, this has been scientifically discovered, but this has been the divine order of the human body since the first days of man. We're talking hundreds of thousands, millions of years that human beings have been on this planet. And cancer is such a common phenomenon. Again, based on lifestyle, cancer develops typically through emotional traumas, first and foremost, and then is perpetuated through lifestyle or perpetuated through our eating habits. Because sugar will amplify cancer. Sugar feeds cancer. sugar and salt, all of this stuff feeds cancer. And cancer is an emotional symptom turned into a physical symptom. Because tumors are actually your savior. Tumor is not the evil villain. But standard allopathic medicine has conditioned us to believe that a tumor is the villain, and it's not. The tumor is what's keeping you alive. Until you get a biopsy and they pop it like a balloon, and then they tell you the cancer spread. The cancer spread. The cancer has spread. Why has it spread? Because the tumor has been injected, and then therefore all the toxic waste that's in that tumor gets released back into the bloodstream. Your body is so magical. Whatever the body knows that's not supposed to be a part of its divine circle, the body will protect you at any and all costs. This is what the human body does. This is how magical it is. It protects you. It protects me at all costs. Which means if there's some foreign bacteria or virus or dead cells that haven't been released yet, they can multiply in the body if the body's immune system isn't at a high enough vibration to where it can get rid of any cancer cells on its own without you even knowing that it's happening. That's how magical the human body is. No one has to have cancer. Or no one has to have cancer amplified the way it does. Because quite frankly, all of us have cancer just to the smallest degree. All of us. Why? Because cells multiply and then die. Or they multiply and then some cells go into a low vibration state because they've depleted all of its because the cell has depleted all of its energy. So now it's just roaming, what they call them free radicals, cells that are trying to find their place or trying to find someone to build affinity with. But if the body is sludged full of toxic chemicals, then yeah, cancer cells will amplify or multiply, or what they call malignant. That's what cancer turns into. From a stage 1 cancer, which all of us have, to the smallest degree, because our bodies engage with cells and they get rid of cells on a daily basis. This is what the body does daily. And then if the immune system isn't up to par, then cancer can develop, or a tumor can develop into a cancer, or what they call fibroid tumor, which is relevant in a lot of women of color, African American, or what I call African people, or black people here in America, Native American or Latin, people of color, people of darker skin. Fibroids or fibroid tumors affect darker skinned women more than your average Caucasian woman, or what we call white person or female. And these are things that we all need to consider. And these are things that women need to consider as well. Because uterine fibroids or uterine cancer or ovarian cancer, no woman has to have this. When we acknowledge our traumas, and dig them up by the roots and release them, no one has to have cancer, or no one has to be held in suspense by their negative traumatic experiences. No one has to be held in suspense forever. because they had a negative experience. We've all had negative experiences at one time or another. Some of us have had multiple negative experiences. This is what we call life. It's the roller coaster, the up and down of the life journey. When we do have adverse experiences, we are to learn from them so we can be better. So when we learn what cancer is and how it's created, cancer doesn't just fall out the sky one day and chooses you. No, cancer doesn't work like that. The human body doesn't function like that. And we see so many women especially having their body parts removed because of the conditioning that we've been trapped in for 4 to 5 decades, since the war on cancer started back in 1972 during the Richard Nixon administration, when he declared war on cancer. War. That's a heavy word to use. War on a condition, on a physiological condition. We have to wage war on cancer. That's the standard thinking here in America. We have to have a war with cancer. No one has to be at war with cancer, because cancer can be healed. Once you acknowledge it and know that cancer is all a part of you and your lifestyle, or the traumas that you haven't released, or the traumatic feelings that you've had maybe throughout a lifetime, possibly. So cancer can be healed. People have healed cancer all over the world through various means, not through chemotherapy, and not through radiation, and not through purging, through a surgical procedures. Because I've known people personally that have had either a breast removed or both breasts removed, or have had hysterectomies unnecessarily. Why? Because we have been thoroughly conditioned that whatever illness or condition that you have, it's the body part's fault. So therefore, we need to remove the breast, because it's the breast's fault that you have breast cancer. That's the theory or the conditioning of standard allopathic medicine, that it's your uterus's fault that you have uterine cancer. So therefore, we have to remove the uterus now, the most divine organ in the female anatomy, the uterus, where life flows through. The uterus. And now allopathic medicine says we have to remove it, the whole thing, as if it's the ovaries' fault. So we have to remove the ovaries for ovarian cancer. It's the uterus's fault. So now we have to remove the entire uterus. Or it's your breast fault that you have breast cancer. So therefore we have to remove the breast. When we do that, all we're doing is addressing the surface symptoms. We're not addressing the root cause of the cancer in the first place. We're not addressing the root cause. And this is the reason why cancer surfaces or resurfaces again with a vengeance. But the oncologist tells you that you're in remission. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you for considering Kennetic-Fit and Wellness. Schedule your consultation today for personal fitness training, for physiotherapy, or holistic life counsel, in person or remote counsel from anywhere in the U.S. Contact Kennetic-Fit and Wellness at area code 562-306-8944. And coming soon, the Kinetic Hour, conversations with you and guests. Kennetic-Fit and Wellness. Mental attitude first.